Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit Zappy here, back again with My Hero Academia Season 5. We are on episode 15, so we are pushing along quite nicely, but there is still some episodes to catch up on. The reason why there wasn't any episodes or anything uploaded over the weekend was because I was at a festival, and that's the reason why I look, quite coloured at the moment. And trust me, this isn't sunburn, it is actually tanned. It's just that, I do have, kind of a bit of ginger in my DNA, so I tend to go a bit more red than other people. I mean, look at that. Look at that obvious tan line there. I know it sticks out like a sore thumb. Just ignore it. We'll be fine, right? We don't need to dwell on that anyway. But we're back with My Hero Academia, so I can't wait to get into this because we are going into an interesting sort of, I don't know, we're going down an avenue that I don't think My Hero has ever really gone down before. Like, it feels totally different from everything previously. I think I did talk about that in the last episode, like how the tone seems like it's going a bit more darker. So, I'm excited to see exactly where they do go with it, and how dark they are willing to go with My Hero. Because, it's had, like, slight sort of dark moments and everything like that, but, I'm willing... I'm wondering how far it is willing to go with it. So we will find out. There was a few things. So some people did actually mention out that there was actually sort of like a flashback that wasn't really that obvious on a sort of like a first time viewing, which was the whole thing with Best Jeanist already being missing beforehand, and that kind of ties in with everything that, like, the reason why Batgirl was actually thinking back about like his hero name with Best Jeanist and everything like that, which is that's very, very interesting. Explains why one scene he had the bag, next scene he didn't, everything like that. And also, this is actually around the time that the last movie was taking place, and there was like a switch around of some arcs and everything like that. So I mean, to me, like, now knowing that and everything, it does seem a bit jarring. But it's fine. We are where we are. But regardless, I am interested to get into more of this kind of like Liberation Army thing and where that's going to head. I think I do recall basically saying, like, I hope that this is something that stays around for a while, across multiple arcs, because I feel like it's somewhat has been there the whole time, but now it's just being kind of picked up. Like, that's the feeling that I get from it, that this has always been going on in the background, and now we're just kind of coming round to it, and it's coming all into the light. So I feel like this is a really, really big deal, and something that can't just be brushed over in some kind of quick succession. You know what I mean? Like it can't be a 12 episode thing. I'm sure this has to go into season 6 as well, because I mean, we only have 10 episodes left of this season. There's no way that's getting done in that amount of time, so yeah, I'm excited to go into this and see what happens. It's interesting. I can't remember if this was something I had mentioned in the post discussion for the last episode about Hawks' micro devices and everything like that. Because sometimes, like, I write down stuff after I've reacted to it. Like, when I'm editing, I'm like, that's an interesting... I'll write that down just for something to talk about. But the fact of, if he has micro devices, how did he talk to... how did he talk about Dabby to the Commission without that being picked up? I don't know. Like, in some ways, it feels like he's a... I mean, of course, like, kind of like double agent kind of thing. But also, like, he could be, like, on a triple agent scale. Like, you know what I mean? Because I know that, like, the Liberation Army and the League of Villains are somehow in cahoots with each other, working together in some fashion, or just, like, kind of using each other. But, like, it feels like there's sort of, like, three things going on. Like, if you just take the League of Villains as their own kind of entity, doing their own thing for their own reasons, but it kind of fits along with sort of like what the Liberation Army is doing as well, then, it's... But the fact is that it's its own entity. So you've got, like, the likes of, like, the Commission, and then you've got the Liberation Army and the League of Villains. And Hawks is, like, right in the middle of that, trying to deal with all of them at once. But with the micro devices and everything like that, it just makes me wonder, like, how much, like, he can't really say anything to incriminate himself to the Liberation Army or anything like that. So they must know that he is in talks with Darby and everything like that. He's got a fucking hard job, man. So it will be interesting to see, like, how he gets along with that. I feel like he's gonna have it rough coming up. I feel like that's just inevitable, just because of the the place that he's in. You know, the he's completely like alone to some degree. You know, but he did get across the book to Endeavor, and Hawks had highlighted certain parts to basically get across to Endeavor like exactly what is going on, and Endeavor did pick up on it. So yeah, that's going to be cool. And obviously with the likes of Deku, Bakugo, and Todoroki under him in that agency, it's all obviously going to come to a head with them three there as well. So that's really going to be cool to see how it all comes together. But yeah, I don't think there's anything else to really talk about, so we're going to get straight in episode 15, see what we get. As always, the reaction will be here on YouTube, but if for whatever reason in the future it gets taken down for copyright, I'll re-upload this as a discussion-only video, and the link to the reaction will be in the description below. As always, the link to the full length to this episode is in the description below as well, so if you do want to watch my full-length reaction and, you know, not, you know, just the uncut 10-minute version, then the offer is there for you. But yes, nothing else really to talk about. We're going to get in episode 15, see what we get. So without further ado, let's go.
You want a status report? Yeah, sure, let's see. I'm spreading the good liberation word.
Himiko Toga was there. So they are...
It's obvious that you not only read it, you truly understand Destro.
If I'm being
He's
honest,
working them
I
well.
still don't
Oh,
really
so is...
get what we're doing. Teach me sometime. You're working super hard, huh, Hawks?
Oh, Darby's there as well, yeah.
Pure evil.
Fan
Happy
spinner.
you're on our side.
Happy to be here.
Oh my gosh, it's Izuku!
Really? That's a coincidence.
From what I see, UA students haven't grown all that much.
Underestimating.
I've trained to intercept the smallest pieces of intelligence. Fierce wings can detect sound vibrations in the air, allowing me to interpret it.
Nice.
The fun is gonna start pretty soon. 4 months from now, boom. Everything is destroyed, and Tomura will ruin this world.
Now, they only showed Japan, so that doesn't mean the whole world is yet.
How many heroes are involved in this plot? I don't have much access to speak of.
Sideburns,
My
man.
wings closed. It's hard for me to hear from far away.
Before that, I'll send a signal.
If we just surrounded this place, we could probably take them.
Yeah, but they might have another place.
That wouldn't help much. I need solid numbers of how many serve the Liberation Army, and the names of the heroes helping them so they can all be rounded up at once. If we don't do it
That's a
that
bit
way,
tough, innit?
we will lose the enemies we can't see.
In case of failure, we'll need more manpower.
They're gonna need the students.
Train your work-study students thoroughly. Endeavor.
I wasn't so sure about the work-study thing. If we fail, the safety of the country falls to our students.
I think it, well, he...
This work-study program is insurance. Shoto, Deku, Bakugo. I'll look after you three myself.
Yes, come on!
I'm glad you're underestimating that.
Yes! That's what I thought,
It was
man.
worth stealing their
Awesome.
glory then.
Ah, that's why he did it.
Seeing you try so hard to improve changed how I view students, Tsukuyomi. I'm
Nice.
glad you're the one who came to my agency.
He inspired him.
Every day you improve. Maybe even faster than me.
The thing is, the other heroes who have the students under their, like, under them as work studies, like, were they told the same thing as Endeavor or
Won't
not?
Go down the way the villains want it to.
I would assume they would have to be, right?
The next time the cherry blossoms fall, I hope we'll all be smiling.
Before we begin, tell me about yourselves. What are you currently capable of? What weaknesses do you need to improve upon? Your quirk is so strong that it hurts you, is that right?
Yes. I've learned to control it enough that I don't usually injure myself. Recently there's, this other thing. It's kinda like, so it's my power, but it's manifesting in a way I've never experienced before.
What do you mean by performing to your fullest? Explain your power.
It seems flexible like a whip and could be super versatile. I want to turn this risky thing into a useful weapon. I guess the truth is I'm trying to see if I can figure out how to control it at will the same way I learned to do with Air Force. That's a long-distance attack that uses wind pressure. but I'm still working on that too, because for it to be most effective, it needs more output than my body is prepared for. Baseline is about 10 to 15%, but Air Force
Fucking mumbling
needs
again.
20%, so I go a little over.
Muttering
Does that all
away.
make sense to you? I'm fighting, I adjust my power output as I move, so I'd be adding another element to that, which is hard to juggle. I've been training so I can perform without thinking, but so far haven't had much luck, which is why I'm excited to be here.
He talks so much, I totally lost the thread.
Self-analysis.
At heart, you're saying that you want to be able to constantly adjust power levels when you're fighting?
Yes!
You understood him? No
Nice.
wonder you're #1, sir.
It reminds me of another quirk. You seem to have a lot in common with All Might. You've had trouble with your quirk. Trust me when I tell you you're not alone. Your turn.
I'm only here to figure out what I can't do. That's the real question. I meant what I just said.
Yeah.
I've been able to do everything I ever wanted thanks to my explosion power. I may only have one quirk, but I can still become the best there is. Like having raw power doesn't make you truly strong. I showed up to figure out what will make me even better, to surpass you.
Nice. I love it.
This kid.
And what about me?
You're just here to learn flash fire, aren't you?
I poured all the training you beat into me as a kid towards strengthening my right side. I see that my hatred of you was holding me back in some ways. Endeavor. I now realize I'm gonna do exactly what you wanted me to. But I want you to know this. The pro I've always admired is the person I watched on TV while sitting beside Mom. I came here wanting to learn, so that I'm someone worthy of being called a hero. The only reason I came to this place is to use you. I came because it's beneficial for me, #1. Don't pretend to be a caring parent in front of my friends.
Whew.
Endeavor, the top hero, was amazing.
That's some cutting words, man.
As for being my father, I'll have to watch your actions to see if you earn that.
Right. Very well. From now on, you'll learn by joining me in the field.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Normally, heroes focus on either rescue or fighting as specializations in their agencies. But my policy is to tackle all three.
Everything.
Parallel processing and swift response. Make that the norm.
Nice.
Parallel processing.
It's like figuring out something's going down before it
hard
happens.
work.
Like before it
And
kicks
here,
off.
It's experience. Bank as much of the latter as you can here. This winter, I want you to show me that you can capture a villain faster than me just once.
Cool. Oh, look!
I was given my quirk at age 15. When everyone else was thinking about what they wanted to run toward, I was still figuring out how to walk.
You must have like lookouts constantly.
Whoa, he never stopped accelerating!
Not even outrun, not even on a motorbike, man.
You were far too slow, kids.
It takes me longer to get warmed up when it's cold out.
Bakugo,
Right.
did you notice that?
There's nothing you could have possibly noticed that I didn't catch before you.
He used those flames to propel himself and up his speed.
Yep.
Like he did with Jetburn and Kyushu. The speed he can gain from those temperatures. It's about controlling the flames.
Sure, I'll be able to do that
Just
eventually.
copying my explosion. How are you just now noticing that, icy hot?
Yeah.
By emitting flames to intimidate the suspect, he kept him from fleeing toward the highway.
Nice.
Go on.
We'll catch up later.
Dash! Trying to use it along with his eyes.
You're not going to work with your sidekicks?
Top heroes need to be able to handle everything by themselves. Bakugo, you said you wanted to know what more there was to learn, correct? It's true that your movements are fast. You're pretty good. For a rookie, anyway.
In the winter, I need prep time.
Are you going to make that same excuse when you fail someone?
I can't make excuses, Bakugo.
If you don't make it in time, you don't get a bad grade. People don't come home.
Cool.
I'm giving the two of you the same homework assignment today.
Why am I always getting lumped together with this idiot?
Power up your power. Condense it, then fire. Be able to release your maximum output in one flash. Keep practicing until you can do one of those things without thinking about it. I want you to improve your precision. You're able to control the shape of your ice to a certain extent already. Try doing the same with your flames. Keep practicing until Air Force is second nature to you.
You mentioned parallel processing.
People learn using parallel processing every day without realizing it. The man behind the wheel of that car, he wasn't born knowing how to drive.
No, it just comes
Turning
second
the wheel,
nature, right?
Pressing the gas and brake pedals, noting his surroundings, and then eventually learn to do them reflexively.
Right.
First, you need to be able to do two things at once without concentration. When you master that, add something else. No matter how strong a power you may have, its foundation is built on a steady accumulation of skills. There are exceptions, but the majority of heroes build their abilities brick by brick. Real-world experience is completely different. Don't forget what you've picked up in class, but get used to being out here, because this is real life.
I really like Teacher Endeavor.
Don't worry if you're up to it yet. Whether the three of you fail or succeed is absolutely no reflection on the work of the #1 hero.
I'll learn everything there is. One thing at a time.
It's great music, by the way.
I'll go beyond.
One thing at a time. Cool. Very cool. Okay, episode 15. I really like Teacher Endeavor. You know what I mean? Like, everything that... I guess before this episode, I guess it was always like going to be interesting just to see like how he actually taught, because previously all we really ever got in terms of like when he was teaching Shoto was that he was kind of forcing it on him and being that way inclined. It was never really like what a true teacher should really do. It was just trying to kind of force something out of Shoto that he, just ended up making Shoto despise him. But this new endeavor that he knows seemingly everything the right thing to say, and the fact of that he is teaching 3 individual students like at the same time and getting to the core of everything that they need to actually work on in just like a short space of time is like very cool, because it shows a side of Endeavor that we really haven't gotten before, which is like, you know what I mean, he takes note and is very observant. Like, I guess if you take what he was talking about with the end there about, the whole parallel processing things and having things kind of, be on reflex. So something that, that you've worked on so much that becomes second nature to you, that you don't have to keep so much focus on, that allows you to kind of focus on everything else that's going on around you, like, your surroundings or anything like that. So it makes me feel that, like, in terms of what he knows about the, I guess, I don't know, like the theory of quirks or how they work or anything like that. I mean, he was talking about how the way that he knows about it is build it brick by brick, and I guess because of just the insane sort of sheer number of different quirks across the entire world and everything like that, like how different a lot of them are. But I guess a lot of them possibly, like, they can kind of like overlap in terms of like how to use them to serve you better or anything like that. I feel like in terms of like Endeavor and his quirk, that of course he can teach that to Shoto a hell of a lot more easy than he can to Bakugo and Deku, because the quirk was passed down to his son, so he knows how it works and everything like that. But it didn't stop him from being able to point out what it means to, like, for example, Bakugo, right? Now, first of all, I love Bakugo's sort of, I love the way that he thinks that, because that's the thing. It's like, it's not the fact that Bakugo is up his own arse at all, but the idea that he wants to figure out the things that he can't do, which is it makes total sense for him, because up until this point, like, he's always kind of really kind of been top dog in that class, I mean, he's won every fight that he's been in up until this point. I mean, even if you want to take the sports festival and his win against Todoroki, yeah, you've got that thing that's hanging up in the air that Todoroki basically stopped, and what would have happened if he actually did get his fire across. But the thing is that up until this point he's always won, so that there's never been a need really for... This is the wrong way to put it, but there's never really been a need for Bakugo to really, like, find out exactly where he needs to improve on a weakness that he possibly has. The idea that because he's won everything, like, he's never looked at something and been like, oh, well, I need to work on that because I lost here. Now, the thing is that with Bakugo is because his motivation to be the best and be number one is always there regardless. Like, he doesn't need to lose to give him a kick up the arse to improve that much more. But even though, like, I'm certain that if he was to lose in a fight, that it would give him, like, just even more, which, you know, can seem like, well, fucking hell, how much more motivation can you get, you know? But I do like that he's so self-aware of everything regarding, like, you know, his place in, like, hero society, of where he feels like he ranks and everything like that, that he knows that even though he never lets it get to his head, it's just that, you know, it's complete, like, confidence in his ability. So the idea is that he's wanting to get himself in a situation where he's almost like forced a weakness upon, and already within, like, not too long at all, he already found a little weakness there. And interestingly enough, this is probably the first time that I've ever been, like, shocked at a response that Bakugo gave. That, like, it was, you know, Endeavor was still ahead of him, like, in terms of his speed and everything like that, carrying his way through the air and everything and traversing the city. And Bakugo almost, like, you know, making excuses. But, like, no, because the idea is that it takes longer because it's the cold weather affects that, so he's not, like, able to put as much output or to get up to speed to warm everything up. Because the idea is that obviously he sweats, right, and that is what, you know, the nitroglycerin in his sweat is what makes it. So the fact is, when he's cold, he's not sweating as much. So it's interesting. Like, I feel like there is some easy like, items that he could use to keep him warm, like, within there. Like, he could wear thermals inside his gloves, for example, you know, like something to just keep the heat in, so that the outside weather is not affecting him in that way at all, you know. But I did like the fact that, you know, it was probably the first time, and correct me if I'm wrong, if there's ever been something like this before, where, like, there has been, because I can't remember if there's ever been a time where he has used an excuse. But I think it goes along with the way Bakugo has always been, which is, like, you know, yeah, you're faster than me, like, right now, but, like, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, if Bakugo did have thermals on and everything like that, then it would be possibly, like, real, like, kind of sort of head-to-head, I guess, with Endeavor. But then it's this other thing of, like, well, is Endeavor going as fast as he can? Who knows? But yeah, it's cool. What else? So yeah, so the whole thing from the last episode, I believe it was the last episode, where Endeavor literally, like, you know, before anything had really kicked off, he was already on his way to settle the score, like, you know, to help out with the what was his name, the Star Servant guy. And it seemed like at the time I was thinking, God, he's so perceptive that he got there before anything really bad happened, and I thought it was just him. But at the end of the day, it makes more sense that he does actually have an earpiece that his sidekicks and everything like that, he has lookouts basically telling him that shit's going down here, shit's going down there, and then that helps him, like, to waste no time in getting there, you know, which really, really makes sense. Like, for example, All Might just, like, never had that, you know, and you would think that, I mean, well, this is the thing, All Might never worked with sidekicks really anyway, other than Sir Night Eye, really. So, you know, that there is that, but, like, the idea is that just by having that, it gives you more insight into everything that is going. It means that you're not missing as much as you normally would, you know. Like, if you're on one street and, you know, something's happening like on the street, like, you know, like a couple blocks down or anything like that, you have no idea what's going on, you know. But if you have lookouts that are telling you, oh, something's going down here, whatever, you know. So yeah, just like something as simple as that would make sense. And because Endeavor's agency is so big and everything like that, it allows for more eyes everywhere in the city. I like the fact as well that one of his saves was basically just an everyday thing, because I'm trying to recall, like, if we've ever seen anything like that before. I don't think we have, like, something that is simple as just being run over by traffic. Like, that's not caused by any villain or anything like that. That's just an everyday thing that, you know, we haven't seen actually just happen before. So something like that is nice to see, like, just like an everyday occurrence of, you know, someone almost being run over by a car is included in that, you know, in the job description of being a hero. It's not like things being, you know, affected by a villain attack, you know. So yeah. I like the fact as well, Endeavor's agency focuses on all three of anything that, you know, the fighting, the rescue, and the evacuation, whereas other agencies focus on a specific sort of just like a specific one. But that's like, I mean, what I would think is having all three for every agency should be the norm, I would feel. I guess it's always going to come down to whoever the hero of that agency, like, whatever their quirk is. Obviously, like, we know that different quirks are more akin to a certain type of hero work, right? But that doesn't mean that you can't do all. Trying to, like, think of a, you know, like an example of what the the next episode for the preview is that we're going to see Froppy with the seal dude, and we've seen him before in one episode, like, way back. Now, just because of the nature of exactly, like, what's going on there, you would think that it would probably be more about rescue, right? But they do have the, you know, like, the wherewithal and the experience to be able to pull off, like, something more than that in terms of, you know, fighting or evacuation. That there's something that they could do, you know. So I feel like across the board, like, in terms of hero agencies, like, I think that should be a norm of having all three. But yeah, I liked as well as the cutting words from Shoto, like, bringing, because this is something that is obviously sort of at the forefront now in this sort of arc, with, you know, because Endeavor's playing such a prominent role at the moment, that of course, like, that relationship, like, of him and his family, not just Shoto, is obviously going to be at the forefront. But I did like the fact that Shoto brought it back to, you know, because it did feel like, right, there is progress being made, and there is progress definitely being made, but Shoto's still, like, kind of having that wall up. He almost brought it back a bit, you know, instead of, like, progress, to kind of like a regress. Seems like a bit too much of a harsher word, but, like, when you think about the last thing that he said, you know, about you know, he still hasn't forgiven him, but in terms of, like, you know, relationship as a father, we'll have to see what your actions are like and everything like that. Like, that felt like there was more progression than what he said in this episode, for example, where, you know, it's basically, like, just cutting the words, like, straight. They are very cutting words, because not only is he talking about the ideas that the hero that I looked up to was All Might, and we all know that Endeavor was trying to surpass him, you know what I mean? So that's, like, you know, it's got to be a hard one to take and everything like that. And the fact that, like, he's talking about, you know, I'm basically using you, you know what I mean, because I want to be a hero of my own volition, not because you wanted me to be, you know, who you wanted. You know, and they were very cutting words, but I think that, you know, the fact is that Endeavor understands, you know, he does understand, so he takes it. He doesn't like, snap back or anything like that, and he doesn't, you know, ignore it or anything like that. He takes it as head on, and is just like, yeah, that's absolutely fine, you know, and just letting things sort of fall as they may, you know. I feel like Endeavor has reached this like sort of like kind of, I guess, acceptance of the, you know, the fact of you know, his sons in particular have had this disdain for him, and that, you know, that there's no words that Endeavor can say to change that, so it has to come down to actions at the end of the day. So, you know, that it's one of those things that I feel like Endeavor knows that, you know, he'll just keep on continuing on, and kind of like whatever happens in the future happens. So yeah. And then pretty much at the very beginning of the episode, with Hawks and everything like that, he went to the Liberation Army HQ, and yeah, so it turns out the League of Villains are actually like directly involved with the whole thing, which was something I wasn't truly sure. The idea I had previously was, you know, this idea that maybe they weren't working totally together, but that their goals kind of sort of aligned a bit, so therefore they would kind of, you know, the League of Villains would probably use them to some degree. But it seems like no, they're totally just like with each other. And yeah, Hawks using his feathers as like sort of like catch vibrations and everything like that. And also I loved like the little extension that he was talking about how, I guess if his wings are actually open, it kind of, I guess, like would be something akin to like a satellite dish or like an antenna, because he was talking about how when his wings were like, you know, not spread, that anything like that it's harder to pick up like vibrations of feathers that are further away. But if he has them open, like, it's like the signal increases. It's crazy that, like, you see, I always big up this show for its like creativity and its quirks and how things are used like that, but like that idea of you know, sound catching feathers, because a feather is extremely sort of like intricate and everything like that, that if there was any quirk that I guess something of like a satellite dish would work like, then that's great. I love that. I love the fact that it sort of is enhanced by if his wings are actually expanded out and they catch it like an antenna. It's so cool. I think we have seen something similar to that with Shoji as well. Like, I'm sure like in like episode 4 of the show, like season 1, I'm sure we've seen like Shoji like use it as like you know, all of his arms together to kind of like, you know, pinpoint enemy locations and stuff like that. I'm sure we've seen that before, but I do like it with Hawks. That's just really cool. And in 4 months they want to level all of Japan. I did talk about in the reaction the idea that I feel like what they are planning to do is level the whole, like a whole of Japan, similar to the way they did with Deka City. So yeah. Also, Hawks being inspired by Tokoyami as well. That's really cool. It brings Tokoyami into a, like, you know, into the picture a bit more, you know what I mean? Because I feel like he is being left out a bit, because obviously he's just being left with the sidekicks as Hawks does his own thing with the you know, the commission and trying to get, you know, information from the inside of the villains and everything like that. But yeah, it's just cool that was something that Tokoyami was able to help Hawks with. Right, I think that's pretty much it. Also, I guess the underestimation of the students as well, that actually makes sense as well as why Hawks actually jumped in to stop the Liberation Army or anything kind of saying what the students were about, which is just really cool. The fact he's thinking on his feet in like terms of like this stressful situation that he's actually put in is really cool. But yeah, anyway, That's all I've got. So thank you everyone for watching. In the description below I have links to certain things. One of them is a Discord, so you can get yourself over there if you wish. And I also have a Patreon page as well, so if you do want to support me on Patreon, that'd be very much appreciated. There is a bunch of different tiers and rewards, like early access, gives you access to shows a week early. There's the full-length tier, which gives you access to all of the shows that I do, so if you want to watch all my reactions in full, not just the cut 10-minute versions, then that is there for you. And also the exclusive tier, which gives you access to full-length movie reactions, everything like that. I'm really enjoying the reactions to the movies that I've done so far, and I will be doing more very soon, so keep a lookout for those. But anyway, that's all I've got, so thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.